Aquarius moves like a winter soft whisper. A mind full of galaxies wrapped in a body that pretends it's made of simple things. A quiet storm with a pulse like distant thunder, carrying thoughts too heavy for the air, but too sacred till it fall to the ground. A soul that feels everything in silence, loving the wavelengths, speaking in frequencies only the patient can hear. A heart that hides behind frost, not to push the word away, but to protect the warmth that rarely shows. A thinker who watches the world from the edge of the sky, seeing patterns in people the way others see constellations. A dreamer who builds futures in their head long before they trust the present enough to speak them aloud. A rebel not for rebellion's sake, but because the spirit refuses to shrink to fit the shape of expectation. A lover who loves like a slow forming aurora, subtle at first and suddenly the whole sky is glowing. A mind that drifts like smoke through open windows, wandering into questions that don't have answers yet. A heart that beats in blue tones, soft and steady, like a tide that never stops returning even when it's quiet. A soul stitched together with stardust and solitude, carrying the tenderness that rarely let anyone touch. A presence that feels like cold hair on warm skin, startling at first, then strangely comforting. A voice that speaks truth without raising its volume, because truth doesn't need a shout to be heard. A spirit that stands slightly apart, not out of arrogance, but because they see the world from a different altitude. A mind that moves slow when it feels deeply, letting emotions settle like snow before deciding what they mean. A heart that opens in increments, trusting piece by piece, offering small truths like fragile gifts. A soul that loves without possession, cares without clinging, gives without demanding anything in return. A presence that feels like a long exhale after holding your breath too long. A tenderness that arrives unexpectedly, like warmth in winter, like light through frost. A mind that carries memories like constellations, each one a star they revisit when the night gets too quiet. A heart that forgives more than it forgets, holding on to lessons but letting go with the weight of soul that wants connection but fears being misunderstood, craving depth but avoiding chaos. A presence that feels like a question you want to answer even if you don't know how. A mind that speaks in metaphors, because literal language can't hold the size of what they feel. Heart that loves in layers, each one softer than the last, each one harder to reach. A soul that stands in the doorway between logic and longing, unsure which side feels more like home. A presence that lingers even after they leave, like the echo of a thought you can't shake. A mind that sees the world not as it is, but as it could be if people were brave. A heart that aches quietly, loving deeply but rarely loudly. A soul that carries hope like a hidden ember, glowing even when the wind tries to put it out. A presence that feels like a promise whispered under breath, fragile but sincere. A mind that moves like water, adapting, flowing, finding its own path even through stone. A heart that wants to be held without being confined, understood without being explained. A soul that loves like a slow sunrise, patient, gentle, inevitable. Aquarius, the quiet storm, the soft revolution, the tender mind wrapped in winter light. A spirit that doesn't ask to be understood, only to be seen clearly. A heart that doesn't rush because real connection takes time. A soul that doesn't shout because truth speaks softly. A presence that doesn't fade, because some energies stay long after the moment ends. A mind that hides its trembling behind logic, hoping no one notices the way the voice shakes when the truth gets too close. You hear that? A heart that's tired of being the strong one, tired of being the distant one, tired of being the one who feels everything alone. I'm so tired. A soul that wants to collapse into someone's arms without explaining why, without being asked to justify the weight it carries. Just hold me. A presence that feels like a storm, finally admitting it's been raining inside for too long. Let it fall. A mind that's been running from its own feelings, only to realize they've been running in circles around the same truth. Stop running. A heart that aches in places it never shows, bruises hidden under brilliance, softness buried under survival. It hurts. It hurts.